Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Money Date, and I hope you are ready for a vacation because I am. And today on this Money Date, wonderful Wednesday evening, I'd love to chat with you. What are some ideas I have for this season of travel? But before we get into talking about fun stuff, my name is Anna Surgunina, and I'm your host for the Money Dates almost for a year, so I'm getting excited. We've got to talk some business first, my friends, okay? And that is being our finances. The reason for having Money Dates is because I want you to stay on the top of what you work so hard for, okay? The idea with Money Dates came about from my own struggles and frustrations because I wanted to do better. And as you're hopping on today, please let me know you're here in the chat. I hope you like my cool glasses. I'm actually in real life looking for a new pair of shades. So let me know what you think, whether these are good or not, and I need to implement something else. I don't know how I can change this back to a normal view, but let's just hope this does not intervene too much with, let's see. Oh, I think I can change it here. Let me just go back. So as I'm trying to set up here, thanks for hopping on, everybody. Glad to have you. I would love for you to share with me how your week has been, and it is awesome for me, so no complaints so far. Now, as you know, there are 3 things that we discussed on the Money Date, okay? And those things are being very simple, but yet very frustrating for a lot of you to stay on the top of. So the 3 things are, how much spending have we done over the last week? What are our expenses in total, right? What is our income? So how much money did you make? Hi, Diane, good to have you. And hi, Wanda, good to have you here as well. And what kind of savings goals do we have? I know that travel closely relates to, having a goal and wanting to go places. And I was scrolling through my Facebook feed today, and there's just a lot of people posting fun and exciting stuff that they're doing, okay? Traveling for vacations and things like that. So now, is that all doable? Yes, it's doable. But if you come here, right, you want to do better. You want to prepare ahead of time. But let's say that, and this is something we're going to talk about today, but let's say that you actually haven't really thought through or prepared too much for the travel and you want to be spontaneous. What are some of the things that you want to do? This has been on my mind for a little bit because I am ready for a vacation. So we'll get into that in just a bit. But as I remind you every week, almost for a year, okay, it's definitely has been 50 times that we had a Money Date. And for those of you, Wanda, you've been here for a while. Thanks for coming on. For those of you who are here, drop something in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. Also, we're getting ready to share our money wins. So think about what's been really awesome for you over the last 7 days. And for those of you who have been coming here, hi, good to have you. For some time, I want you to stay on the top. So on the top of very basic financial things, I want to know your income. You need to know your income. You need to be on the top of your expenses, and you need to stay on the top of your savings goals. Because if you don't get your foundation, your baseline under control, there is no way for you to have any kind of responsibility with your finances. So let's get that out of the way. I know you're doing it, and if you're not watching here for the first time, please think about that. Now, I'm going to talk about summer travel. I'm going to talk about travel in general. It doesn't have to be summer. It just seems like, and we have holidays coming up, so a lot of you are going to be on the road. Now, something I want to share before I dive into that discussion is a money win. So a money win is something that I take very personally, and I do think about these kinds of things. But in short, it's a gratitude, right? I shared with you guys that I write a gratitude journal every night. Now, for those of you who are just starting out, sure, that's something that you may consider doing because it does get you into a totally different place with your thoughts. Now, at least if you can stick around with me and once a week think about one positive moment that took place and that you are really proud of, that's going to be a start. So start small and then progress. as you're going along. So my money win for the week is that I started walking again, all right? And for those of you who know, I live very close to my office. And I don't know what happened over the last 6 months. Well, actually, I do know. I bought a new car. So it's been exciting for me to drive it, but it's only half a mile away from my home. So it finally kicked, right? Or dawned on me that why would it make sense for me to drive? So the weather is nice, and so I've been walking back and forth from my home to my office. So it's about half a mile walk in a very nice sunny weather. So I feel good. So when I finish with you guys today, I'm gonna walk home and hopefully still there's some sun outside, and I'll watch the sunset. So that's my money win. How does that relate to my finances? Well, guess what? When I get home after a long day, hopefully I'm gonna feel refreshed and less stressed out. So when I get here in the morning, right? So my treat for myself, so it's a little bit more on the spending side, but if I don't drive, then I get to buy a cup of coffee. If I drive, then I have to make coffee in the office. So anyway, you have to find these tiny, small things in life that are, almost sometimes may not make sense to other people, but as long as they work for you, I feel like it's something important to do. So let me know, Wanda, what's been good for you? Diane, let me know what's been good for you over the last week. I am sure there are things that are happening for all of you guys. And Wanda too, you've been here for a while. Let me know how you feel you've been progressing. You can send me a private message. You don't have to share it out there in the open space. But I'd love to know. And I appreciate you hopping on here almost every Wednesday night. So, excuse me, I'm gonna get into the actual topic because I'm very excited. Travel is something that I love to do. And I know that a lot of you think that you have to wait, and I see this quite often with my clients, that you have to wait for a very long time or you have to save a lot of money to go do fun things. And that's probably true for a lot of, fancy and long kind of distance vacations you're trying to do. And there's lots of different blogs out there how you can do a lot of travel on the cheap. But what I want to talk today about is, what if you want to do things the last minute? What if you haven't really planned for anything, but yet you're like me at a point where you are ready to go somewhere, okay? So what kind of things can you do that are still yet exciting and interesting and get you out of your own, normal everyday kind of a life? So here we go. I have 4 different ideas to share with you, okay? So the very simple one, and I live in San Francisco Bay Area, right? San Francisco is about 10 minutes away from where I'm at. So practically call it, I am in San Francisco. And one of as you guys know, I hope you visited it before, but it is one of my favorite places in the whole world to be, but it's also one of my favorite places in the whole world to be a tourist. So number 1 suggestion is be a local tourist. Hi, Wanda. Oh, sorry, my comments are coming in just a bit slow. So you reached one of your savings goals. Way to go. Congratulations. I'm excited for you. Way to go. I love those kinds of things. I always tell my clients that even though I like the idea of working with them on the financial plan and building it for them, the most rewarding and satisfying piece for me as an advisor is to see them coming back and reporting back and saying, look, we've done this, we've done that, we've made progress. So I love it. Thanks for sharing that. So back to being a local tourist in your own little backyard. So it's funny because I love San Francisco and there's so many things to do. And I'm yet finding out that I have not explored everything about the city. And I feel even more guilty when I think about when I used to live back on the East Coast in the Maryland, DC area. So it's right between Baltimore and DC. And there are so many things to do. I mean, even our own capital, Washington, DC, right? So every time I now go back to the East Coast, which is often enough, so every time when I have time outside of work, I try to go and just kind of, you know, really be a local tourist. It doesn't cost a lot of money, and you can do it for free. I know actually in San Francisco, one interesting thing, there are these tours, they're called walking tours. You can actually, I think it's cost like $5 or something. So they, here locally, they organize them every Sunday. So if there's like a part of the city or a neighborhood that you were interested in learning, and these tours are done by locals, so people who actually been there for like a long time. So it's neat, right? So you can just sign up for a tour like that and just walk around, however many blocks in that neighborhood, and learn more about, the local stuff. Find out the best places to eat. If you want to go out, to bars or whatever local kind of things are there is. And I can almost see that you can build a calendar doing something every weekend or once a month because you want to try get out and get to know your own area better. So that is certainly on the list of things that I want to do, as well as when I go back to the East Coast, I want to explore. The other thought I had was just pull up. I mean, I know in San Francisco I do this a lot when I have visitors and I have to kind of show them around. So when you come next time, let me know. I can be your local tour guide. But look up for like 10 best things to do in the city that you live in, and see if you actually have done all of them. If you've been to all of those locations, if you haven't, that's the idea for your next exploration, okay? All right, idea number 2 of kind of doing things the last minute or spontaneous is to visit a local park. I guess maybe I shouldn't say that, but I'm gonna, it's kind of admitting, where I'm at. I've never really explored ideas of, doing things outside, right? Meaning like, do Yuri and I go, hiking or, just kind of doing things outside and being outdoorsy? Not as much. I've lived in California for 8 years. So one of the things that I think is important to explore, those things that our nature brings. So visiting a local park. Some of you live close by. So I still have on my list, of things like going to Grand Canyon, and we've driven through, right? So I've been to, and I've seen parts of it, but again, it's something that it does not take long and it does not take a lot of money. So Grand Canyon, Yosemite, Yellowstone, right? So a lot of those things are breathtaking views, once in a lifetime kind of opportunities to see, and does not cost a lot of money. So is this something you can do next weekend if you just get in your car and drive and you have a close by destination? I'm pretty sure you can. So I always we have a lot of friends who like camping. I much rather prefer to stay in more comfortable accommodations, although I've done camping in the past. So a lot of times those parks, like for us, I mean, here in California, it's like I can go all directions and find something neat. They're very reasonable, cabins you can rent. So if it's a last minute. So hi, Lori, good to have you here. So think about that. What can you do locally, and how about finding out if you can visit a national park? I'm sure there's a lot more than I'm not even thinking about. All right, tip number 3 is explore your own region. So we talked about kind of your own little backyard being here, and not going too far. How about if you think a little bit, more wide? Pull up a map. I kind of had to do that when I just first moved to San Francisco Bay Area, because I didn't know much, much about where to go and what things to see. But can you get in your car and drive for an hour and 2 in either direction, and will there be something for you to see? Could it be a day trip? That's what I'm thinking, right? So if I need to get away for the weekend, or it's a long weekend, right? Like the Memorial Day is coming up. I know, although it's kind of getting crazy with travel, but because everybody's going to be out there on the road, what can you do in a short distance? Like if you're driving, again, I'm trying to think about, could it be with a reasonable cost, because we didn't plan that far in advance, and could it be something fun that you haven't done yet? So, I feel like those kinds of things are, they provide flexibility, and you don't have to be stuck on something. You can change your mind at the last minute, and maybe a friend has a better idea, and so forth. So I challenge you to think about what's available in your own region, because I'm pretty sure there's stuff that you can explore. The other thought I have is sometimes you just kind of want to have a staycation, right? You just want to maybe hang out at your own house. And like Yuri and I have been doing a lot of spring cleaning lately. So, last couple of weekends, I don't know how, but we've realized we've accumulated quite a few things. And, just that process alone, cleaning out the stuff that we don't really need and, doing a bit of a remodeling and, that alone feels pretty good. But I'm ready to actually go somewhere. So you will find out soon. I don't know exactly yet. So, all right. And then my tip number 4 for these last minute kind of, inexpensive ideas for traveling. So don't feel bad if you haven't planned. I haven't actually quite planned anything significant for us this summer, other than just my normal East Coast travel. So we'll have to see. Sometimes we really do spontaneous kind of, go to Hawaii on miles trips, but sometimes it may be something more, thought through. So, with that in mind is, what if you woke up one day and you said, today I'm going somewhere. Today I need a vacation. Hi, Tom. Good to have you. So, last minute, and I actually haven't done this yet, but I'm itching to go next weekend somewhere because I want to take a couple of days off. And, I was talking to Yuri last night. He was like, oh, no, it's, we should have planned this ahead of time. Nothing's going to be available. We're not going to be able to find a hotel or a flight. So I'm actually going to try this. And so the idea here is that you wait until a very last minute. And you may be thinking this is silly. Let me know if you've done it. And it seems totally out of, rational thought process. But the day you want to go, or the day before, you wake up, you pull up. I use Kayak a lot. There's a lot of other sites that, you can check out prices for flights and hotels and, kind of last minute. And whatever's going to be available. Again, I'm only going to look at, maybe something regional. I don't think I'm going to fly across the country, right? Because it's time, right? So if I have more time, maybe we can do something like that. But I was just thinking kind of maybe more of West Coast. If I had a cheap flight, and I can always do that with miles. So for those of you who are travelers who like to do that, look at your rewards, right? Do you have points? Do you have miles that you can use for those last minute kind of things? And can I find a cheap hotel, or how about Airbnb, right? Are there things available sort of last minute and we can go? I'm gonna try this for next weekend and see what happens. I kind of have an idea where I want to go. I haven't told Yuri yet, but again, could it be fun? Could it be spontaneous? Could it be, sort of not stressing out about it too much? Sure. Sometimes those kinds of things is what you really need to disconnect and put your mind to ease. And then of course, my partner Jim just left for Italy, lucky bum. Hi Becky, good to have you here. And he's a big traveler, done a lot of it in his life. But one of the things that I've learned from him is that going to less typical places, even though you're going to a place like Italy, is something to think about. So like everybody talks about going to New York or San Francisco or France. I had a friend today posted there, Arlene, I know you're on the way to Paris or wherever else that you're going to visit. But do you have to go to those big flashy destinations? Because if you think about it, and I'm actually particularly thinking about Jim right now because I visited this little cute town north of Rome, about hour and a half on a train. That is fantastic, right? It's like these little hidden gems that, hi Danielle, good to have you. These little hidden gems that, you find out by going to a certain place, every so many times. But still, so I want to challenge you thinking about, all right, we have to, one of the big goals I have that I need, I want to go to Italy, or I want to go to France, or I want to come to San Francisco, or, I want to go to New York. Well, cool. Those are awesome destinations, but sometimes the flights are more expensive to go there, the hotels and everything else. So can you get to the proximity of that location, right? And maybe stay in a less, known place, but you still get to see the beauty. So I think that's another way to travel. So, do you have to go to Disney World, right? I know there's some things you kind of have to do, but we're talking here, the whole idea of today's discussion is if you haven't planned or your budget is not huge, you still should allow yourself a treat, right? Of some kind of getaway, vacation, time off. Because let's face it, for some time I didn't think that I really needed that, but I'm coming to a point of realizing that, it doesn't have to be totally, extravagant. It doesn't have to kill your wallet. Think outside the box. What can you do locally? What can you do in your small region? How can you be spontaneous? How can you sort of plan this last minute? And so for the closing of what I'm kind of thinking, I always share a quote with you, but I don't want you to get in the mindset of thinking that I need a 6 months vacation twice a year, right? Wouldn't that be nice to have those kinds of vacations? Because I don't know if I need that, but it's the idea of that sounds good. So I'd rather take smaller trips, more spontaneous, than take a longer and more, or longer and more often. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know what ideas you guys have. And don't forget, this is a money date, and we are particularly reminding ourselves that even though we share these exciting ideas about spending money going somewhere, we still need to stay on track of what our finances are meant to be, right? And you guys are the only ones that are in charge. I can come on here and remind you that you need to know your expenses, you need to know your income. You've got to stay with savings goals, right? But if you don't do it, it's going to be difficult, and I do not want that for you. So again, thanks for tuning in. Let me know what ideas you have for your summer travel, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.